Hey guys, what's up? It's HBO Manga here and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now, honestly, I cannot remember the last time that I actually talked about manga that I've been reading on my YouTube channel. It's been probably, I would guess, a year or so, and I was thinking about it, I'm like, do I film like a manga reading log for the past year? And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, girl, that's literally almost your entire collection. So this video is kind of a glorified recommendations video, and this is probably what I'm going to be doing going forward. I'm going to take the best of what I've read and talk to you guys about it. Don't worry, there will still be manga that I dropped videos because trust me, I still drop plenty of manga. So let's not delay and let's get into some of my favorite reads over the past couple months. So first starting off, this is a series that I raved about in my past manga collection video. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend that you guys go check it out. Definitely got some bangers. But that series is Ragna Crimson. This series is so underrated in my very biased opinion. If you want high fantasy, high action, high intensity, high gore and fighting, this series is for you. When I tell you that this series came out of left field for me, I'm not even kidding. Like, it really wasn't even on my radar, and to some of my friends was kind of like, dude, like, you should really check this series out. It seems like something right up your alley, and they were 100% correct. Currently, there are, I believe, 5 volumes released in English. The 5th one I think was released today, the 14th of April, and this series is just so dang good. It's not too much of a financial commitment right now, so I do highly recommend it. Ragna Crimson is set in this world where there is a lot of fantasy, right? There are these dragons that essentially control and like rule over this world. They manipulate humans, they like destroy humans like towns and cities, and there's a whole lot of conflict between the dragons and the humans. But in this world, there are these individuals called dragon hunters, which do exactly what their name suggests. They go around and essentially avenge humanity in a way and start killing these dragons and doing all that sort of stuff. Now granted, these dragons are not so easily taken down. They're very, very strong. I mean, they're freaking dragons, right? So our main character Ragna here on volume 1's cover, he starts off in the series as he's just an average dude. He's not strong, he's just kinda there. Not much he can do to help and solve this dragon issue. However, in the first volume, he undergoes some insane transformation and he just becomes pretty much godlike. Like, he's OP. I will say, when reading this series, the first couple chapters weren't super interesting to me. I was reading it and I was like, oh boy, am I gonna hate this and have to report back to my friends that I didn't like it. But if you get past the first couple chapters, I continue to really love this series. I think it gets so good. Again, high fantasy, high action. The artwork is also incredible. Like, I did not expect this high caliber of artwork in a series like this. I'm not entirely sure why, but it really just exceeded my expectations in every single way. I love the dynamic between Ragna and another one of our main characters, Crimson. Their dynamic, kind of how toxic it is almost, and just kind of them using each other. Just overall, Ragna Crimson is a great fantasy, high action read. If you were looking for something like that, please read this. I have been binging it. My volume 5 actually comes in the mail today, and I will be reading that tonight because this series, guys, is just too good. So the next manga series that I have for you guys today is taking a very, very, very different change of pace than Ragna Crimson. This series is one that I've seen, like, people pick up, people talk about and rave about this mangaka all the time. Like, she has amazing works, and I just never consumed any of her work. And then one day, Barnes & Noble, I was like, okay, you know what? A girl's got some cash to spend. Let's give this series a shot, and if I hate it, I can always return it. And that series is Maison Ikkoku. I hope that I'm saying that right. This series is such a welcomed change of pace for me. I always tend to talk about changes of paces in, hauls and reading logs and all that sort of stuff. You know, sometimes you just don't want the high intensity Ragna Crimson or Berserk or Vagabond. Sometimes you just want something a little bit more low-key, right? I honestly tend to read before I go to bed, and sometimes reading like Berserk before I go to bed and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? I can't sleep now. But Maison Ikkoku is such a nice read. It is a slice of life romance series between our two main characters, Godai and Otanashi. I probably said those names wrong. I'm gonna just apologize now for that. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of twists and turns. Godai is this he's just an average dude. He struggled to get into college, and he's just, you know, guy trying to discover who he is and how to navigate adulthood. And our main character, Otanashi, here recently became manager of the place where Godai and the other tenants live. So Godai and Otanashi, there's some tension there, and it's a very much slow burn. So if slow burns are painful for you, I probably wouldn't recommend this, but reading this series throughout every single volume, I have just rooted for Godai the entire time. So I've actually only read volumes 1 through 3 so far, and I have enjoyed every single volume that I've picked up. These editions by Viz are also beautiful as well. These are the collector's editions, and they're like these oversized and kind of like matte, but with some texture on the cover, which I actually really appreciate. It's a really nice book to hold and to read. I will say these do retail for $25 a piece, so you know, this is more expensive than my Full Metal editions. So it's kind of an expensive pickup, I'm not gonna lie, but it has been totally worth it to me. I believe there will be 10 of these collector's editions in total, and I think 7 of them have been released physically so far. I currently only own 1 through 4, but I definitely am planning to pick up the rest. If you are looking for just a really nice slice of life with some good romance in there, some good drama, and just very realistic, you know, situations, I highly recommend Maison Ikkoku. Okay, so the next manga series I picked up is another one that I raved about in my manga haul last month. I adored it, such a good series, and that is A Bride's Story. I've seen more people pick this series up, which I'm really glad that, you know, people have been, because I think it's very underrated. A Bride's Story is a historical manga set near the Caspian Sea during the time of the Russian invasion. It follows our 2 main clans as they kind of interact. There's some conflict there, but our main character here essentially is sent to marry off the other clan's younger son to promote peace between the clans and just prosperity. But honestly, that doesn't really work, and there's a lot of conflict. This series is really good because it is like slice of life, romance, but there is some really good action in it as well. And the artwork, guys, let's talk about the freaking artwork. This manga has some of the most detailed art that I've ever seen. It's just so incredible. You can clearly tell that this mangaka is a master at their craft. Just such a really good read. I also love history. Like, history is something that, you know, in another life of mine, I would actually pursue. So as a history buff and as a seinen enjoyer, this series is absolutely a match made in heaven. I just love learning about different people groups, different ways of life, just kind of, you know, how life was done during that time. If you like history, I highly recommend it. Also, if you just like slice of life, I will say there is an age gap between our main character here and her husband. I don't entirely know how many years, but there is an age gap, so do just be aware of that. But in my opinion, it's not too weird, because when you put it within the context of this time period, it makes sense. That's just how life was done, and it's also very wholesome. It's not, you know, gross or anything like that. So don't let that deter you from this series. These releases by Yen Press are also stunning. So good. I mean, the slipcovers, I love me a good slipcover, and even the manga without the slipcover is so nice. It's just this brown hardback with some really nice gold embossing. Is that what that's called on the spine? I'm not entirely sure, but a really beautiful release. There are currently, I believe, 13 volumes released of A Bride's Story. They are a little bit more expensive, retailing at around $17 a volume. So do just be aware of that, but in my opinion, I think it's very worth it. You have a really nice slipcover and just really nice releases by Yen Press. A Bride's Story is just so good, and you can truly tell that this mangaka is a master at what she does. Okay, so the next manga that I read recently that really surprised me, like really, I mean, arguably all of these did, but this one in particular, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. That is Pluto by Naoki Urasawa and Osamu Tezuka. Let's talk about this read, okay? You know, whenever I heard people talk about it, it was always like, they would always say, you know, it's another take of the Astro Boy story. And, you know, when I heard that, I was like, okay, great. Like, I don't know what the Astro Boy story is. You know, does that mean anything to me? No. You know, at the time, it really did not. Pluto takes place in the society where robots and humans live together. It's a very advanced society. You know, robots have, you know, rights and all that sort of stuff. However, there are some people in the society that don't believe that robots should have the same rights as humans, and there's just a lot of unrest. Throughout the world, people are against robots or, you know, anti-robot associations, just a lot of unrest, which is unfortunate. But in this world, there are these, I believe, 7 like main robots that are just OP. Like these robots have the highest intellect, they are the strongest, they are just the best of the best robots there is. And suddenly, these robots start to go missing and ultimately they end up dying. So the whole mystery in Pluto is figuring out who is essentially killing these robots, why are they doing it, who is this mysterious Pluto figure that gets mentioned throughout this entire read. It's just so genuinely good. If you're looking for something that's high action with a lot of really good mystery, this is the series for you. I'm gonna be honest, I completely binged this series. Like, it was just such a good read that I could not put it down. I was literally in class on my computer reading this. I know, on my computer, okay? But don't worry, I picked up the physicals, it's fine. There are 8 physicals printed by Viz, still in print. I also really appreciate when a series doesn't have like a bajillion volumes out. But I think Pluto does a really good job at completing the story within a good, reasonable amount of time. I thought the pacing was great. It was high-paced, high action from volume 1, which is really what, you know, got me into this read. I very much someone who, you know, when I'm reading an action series like this, I want to be hooked in from the first volume. Like, I don't want to take 5 years to get into the story. Like, I want to be hooked in. And Pluto Volume 1 did exactly that. I literally read, I think, Volume 1 and ordered the rest that night because I was like, you know, I know that I'm going to love this series. I need to have it. Again, if you're looking for a mystery, high action, high intensity read, Pluto is definitely for you. It's so good. Just give it a shot. Okay, so this last volume and this last series that I read, a lot of you guys are gonna be so excited for because, you know, from the beginning of me getting into manga, so many people have recommended this series to me constantly. Like, almost every single video, I would at least get one comment being like, hey, you should read this series. And I finally took your recommendations and holy crap, am I glad that I did. The series that I am talking about is none other than Dragon Ball. Yes, I finally picked up and read Dragon Ball. And wow, I get it now. Dragon Ball was always a series that I think a lot of people associate a lot with nostalgic value. I personally didn't grow up with anime or manga. Like, you know, while you guys were watching Dragon Ball and Naruto, I was watching VeggieTales and My Little Pony. So it's just a very different dynamic. So when I was thinking about Dragon Ball, I was like, is it actually good, or do just a lot of people have a lot of nostalgic value associated with it? Which I think is fair. You know, I have nostalgic value associated with certain series, and that definitely makes me like them and almost promote them more because of course I do. You know, it's nostalgic. Of course I'm gonna like it. So I was actually making a Right Stuff order for the rest of A Bride's Story and decided to throw all of the original Dragon Ball in, and when I tell you that I haven't binged a series this hard in a long time, I genuinely mean it. Like, I read all 16 volumes in maybe a couple days, and I know for a lot of people that isn't binging, but for me that is, especially when I have a lot of other normal life things going on. That was 110% a binge. Dragon Ball follows our main character Goku as he, you know, in the beginning kinda is by himself. Recently his grandpa passed away, but he runs into another character called Bulma, who is looking for all of the Dragon Balls. So the Dragon Balls are essentially these little spheres with stars in them, and if you collect all of them, you can ask like a wish of this great dragon-like god thing. I totally forgot his name, but that dragon will grant you any wish. It could be literally anything. However, these Dragon Balls are scattered throughout the world, like they are just everywhere. So Dragon Ball follows our main character Goku and his friends on a lot of different occasions, searching for these Dragon Balls to accomplish a wide variety of different things. However, other people also want these Dragon Balls, right? Other people know of these Dragon Balls' powers, and they try to hunt them down as well, and these people tend to be bad people. Like, they're not good people. So there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of action. I have loved seeing the character development of Goku, seeing him kind of power up throughout the entire series has been so satisfying because, you know, I know, like, there's always this debate about can anything beat Goku, right? I always knew that was a thing, but I'm like, okay, like, I know that he's super, super powerful, so, like, reading this, I was like, okay, I know that he's gonna get super OP, I just gotta wait for that. So it's like when he was going through battles and stuff, like, I knew that he was gonna win, he was gonna prevail, whatever. But I don't think that took away from the series at all, in my opinion. I think it was just really helped me enjoy his progression even more. He goes through a lot of different things, a lot of different trials, a lot of different fights, a lot of different battles, with a wide variety of people and creatures, and it was just so good. I will say Dragon Ball kind of leaves a lot to be desired in the sense of I want to know more about Goku. I want to know more about his past, who he is, why the flip does this dude have a tail, just like all these sort of things. There's a lot left to be desired, but in every good way. And thankfully, Dragon Ball Z exists. And yes, I also picked up Dragon Ball Z. I'm currently a couple chapters into the series. I decided that I needed to take a break from Dragon Ball just so that I can actually really enjoy it, instead of just completely binge it, because honestly, you can cook through the Dragon Ball chapters pretty quickly. And I'm so genuinely excited to go on to Dragon Ball Z. I hear a lot of people really like Dragon Ball Z almost more than Dragon Ball, because I hear that, you know, Dragon Ball is, you know, very high adventure and all that sort of stuff, but Dragon Ball Z is more like fighting. So it'll be very interesting to see how I receive and how I like Dragon Ball Z. And I'm not gonna lie, they're not the most cheap volumes, right? There are a wide variety of formats for Dragon Ball. There are the singles, there are the Bizbigs, and then there are the typical omnibuses. I decided to go the Bizbig route because I just love how the spines look. Like, I think they look very clean on the shelf. So the fact that I was willing to just dive into straight Dragon Ball Z after I read Dragon Ball should be a testament to how much I frickin' enjoyed this read. So guys, those were all of the manga series that I have read recently that I have been absolutely in love with. We have, you know, honestly, we have a good variety. We got some seinen, we got some shonen, we got some slice of life. Honestly, be proud of me for expanding my reading horizons. Again, all these series are ones that I genuinely recommend. So guys, if you like kinda this video and you want to see more of this, please let me know in the comments down below. I never know if people actually like reading logs or like what I'm reading. And I want to make sure that I'm making content that you and I both enjoy. I enjoyed making today's video. It made me reflect on some of the really good reads that I've read recently. So if you like this video, please let me know. Also, if you want to see what I'm reading on a more day-to-day basis, make sure to follow me on Instagram at HVLManga. When I tell you that I post literally everything that I read, I genuinely mean it. I have like a whole like Instagram story reel of just purely the manga that I've been reading. So make sure to follow me there if you want more updates. Guys, I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys are doing great. I would love to know, what have you been reading over these past couple months, and what are some of your favorite reads over that time period? So guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.